It's almost hard to estimate what the value of graduate students is in the country. I mean, we do so much, and so much of what we do is work that can't be tracked easily, that estimating that value would be nigh impossible.
The tax reform bill currently being drafted by Congress includes massive cuts to higher education. These cuts include a clause that would make the tuition for grad school, which is almost always waived by those pursuing a PhD, included in the student's taxable income. Effectively, graduate students will be taxed thousands of dollars on money that they don't even make. Taxes will be increased for these students anywhere between 100% to 300% or more.
Fight back! They say cut back! We say fight back!
I want you to consider this. The minimum stipend, which is what many of us get paid, is a little bit over $15,000 a year. Tuition in a typical graduate program here is about $33,000 a year. So if all of a sudden that tuition can be taxed, you would be paying almost $5,000 in taxes, which is about a third of the current take-home pay level. So this is totally unacceptable to us. But I wanted to start with these numbers so that we can all have a sense of just how close to home this bill will hit if it's allowed to pass. It will financially devastate us and our families and jeopardize our ability to finish our degrees. It will strike at the heart of this university because we as graduate students are vital to the mission of this school.
The 99%. We're going this way.
The 99%.
I'm Evan Johnson. I'm a fifth-year PhD student. I study theoretical physics, and this bill would be devastating to myself and all of my colleagues. It will increase my taxes probably around 200%.
Wow.
Which means that the money I have left over by the end of the month will be gone, or what I get paid every month will not be enough to live off of. If the bill goes through, I would have to make some very drastic changes. Probably would have to change my living situation dramatically just to stay in my program.
So my name is Carly. I'm a third-year student in linguistics. Well, without my husband's income, I wouldn't be able to keep going to grad school. I don't think we're a group of students that normally gets out like this. We're pretty nerdy and we stay in our office. I think the fact that we're doing it should mean something.
I'm Noah Charles. I'm a fourth-year graduate student in physics. I'm an out-of-state student. So in-state students, that is to say students who have lived in Ohio virtually their whole lives, or at least have bank statements going back several years, can claim tuition of roughly $12,000 a year. As an out-of-state student, my tuition is more like $33,000 a year.
Right.
This obviously is hugely impactful under the new law, since I would be taxed on my tuition.
Right.
So I would, I currently make about $25,000. That's my stipend. That's money that I receive above and beyond my tuition. So under the new bill, I would make $25,000 plus the $33,000, and I would be taxed on the whole thing. So I would see my taxes go from about $1,000 to about $5,000. Physics students make near the top of what graduate students can make at Ohio State. The minimum stipend is just a little bit over $15,000 a year, and many programs make that. Those people are hit even harder because the ratio of their stipend to their tuition is smaller, and so they're even more impacted by the tax. For many people, after paying rent, they would actually be making negative income. So there are basically two things that could happen. Universities could take many fewer graduate students and lower their tuition, or universities could only accept graduate students who are willing to take on more loans to complete graduate school. That would massively decrease accessibility of graduate education, which just is a shame. I mean, graduate education is one of the few things in our country where you can be from any class background and go and get an education, and your stipend will at least cover your living expenses. It probably won't be amended now because on the 9th of November, the House Ways and Means Committee took up an amendment that would strike this provision from the bill, and it was voted down on party lines. So Pat Seabury in the Ways and Means Committee, along with all of the other Republicans on that committee, specifically voted to keep this provision in the bill. So we're pretty sure it's not an accident. Yeah, we're living in sort of a dismal period for higher education generally. So I can see a universe in which Republican donors don't care about this. They need to get under a certain number. That number is 1.5 trillion under 10 years. That's how much the bill can explode the deficit while still going through the budget reconciliation process, which allows it to be voted in the Senate with only 51 votes. So they need to get under that number. They're just cutting whatever they can, and Republican donors don't care about graduate education or about colleges and universities more generally. Now, it's not in the Senate bill. We think that that's because Inside Higher Ed reported also on the 9th of November that the Senate was pushed by student activism on social media and elsewhere to rescind that provision from its version of the bill. I mean, we really do hope that graduate student pressure and pressure from other groups across the country can help us kill this bill, or at least get rid of the provisions that will cripple higher education. We're hopeful about it. We have several sister universities agreeing to put on marches on Thursday the 16th, which is when we've agreed to a day of national action. We're going to do that, and my hope is that those marches happen and go well, and the bill is changed or killed.